Hey everybody, this is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. The response from you fans has been absolutely amazing. Tens of thousands of you. So thank you so much for joining us, for being with us. We're going to be breaking down the entire rosters for the Raiders. Now, you may remember before OTAs and mini camps, I gave you my way too early projected 53-man roster. It's different already today, just a few weeks later. I'll do another one prior to the start of training camp, and I can almost guarantee you that one's going to be different than today. And the one I do, obviously, after they announce the 53-man roster, again, is going to be another one in its entirety. I think you got to remember there are injuries, there are guys getting cut, there are trades, there's a lot more. And Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are going to be very aggressive in getting this roster to where they believe that they need to get it. So let's get right to my projected 53 man. Again, there's a lot of differences, and we're going to go over them. First, we start at the quarterbacks. No change there. Jimmy Garoppolo is your number one quarterback. I've told you all along you don't need to be worried about him being ready for the regular season. The biggest worry with Jimmy Garoppolo is if he can play all 17 games. That's a big concern. It's a concern that I think is germane. I would not have signed Jimmy. Great guy, great competitor, great in the locker room. He's a phenomenal guy. Great player, winner. But I'm sorry, Dave and Josh, Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, went all in and mortgaged their future, going after a guy with an inability to stay healthy. God bless them if they're right. But if they're not, they're going to pay a big price for it. And they're going to get they're going to deserve all the criticism. He's your number one. Then number two is Brian Hoyer. Like I said, they took two quarterbacks last year. I think they take three this year. Brian Hoyer. He is the perfect quarterback for what this team needs their number two to be. He's a great backup. He knows the system to Jimmy, but he also is a terrific teacher. Look what he did with Mac Jones for Aiden O'Connell. He's clearly number two. Now, a lot of people are acting like, and man, my inbox and all of that makes you guys sound like you think Aiden O'Connell is the next Tom Brady. Now, let me just say something to you about Aiden O'Connell. I've reported this multiple times. Had he come out after the 21 season, that would have been the 22 draft. A lot of people had him projected as a first-round quarterback. So the Raiders really stole the guy. He's a good quarterback. He's the guy that they had number one as a pure pocket guy, and they liked him. Do I think they would have gone Bryce Young if they could have gotten in Bryce Young instead of Aiden? Yes. But that's neither here nor there. They were big on Aiden O'Connell. He's the number one guy. They got him, and he's going to be really good. But man, some of you guys have watched a little bit of video and you're acting like he's Tom Brady. Remember this. And I'm not talking down to fans. I don't do that. But I'm encouraging you as an old man who's done this for decades. You never judge a football player, a rookie, in shorts. You just don't do it. I've seen lots of guys that look like Tarzan, don't play like Tarzan when the pads come on. And I'm just telling you, tap the brakes. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to be a really good quarterback. I do. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. But if you're coming to OTAs and you're trying to make him sound like he's Tom Brady, you are setting this kid up to fail. And quite frankly, that's not fair to him. Next, we come to running back. Now, I want to remind you of a couple things. In 2022, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler's first year here with the Raiders, they took 6 running backs and fullbacks. I think they're only going to take 5. I think obviously Josh Jacobs is your number one. By the way, I got my notes here. I'm not trying to, it's not showing up on my screen. I have no idea why I put it in front of my face, but it's there. But I don't think they take 6. The roster's too deep. There's too many other needs. I think they take 5. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is your number one. Zamir White's your number 2. Amir Abdullah is your number 3. I think Britton Brown goes to the practice squad, and Jakob Johnson is your fullback. So again, I want to run through it. Jacobs, White, Abdullah, Jakob Johnson. So again, I want to go back and address it. Their first year, they took 6 running backs and fullbacks. I said 5. I meant 4. I think they take 4 this year. for the Raiders. That's going to be really, really interesting for me to watch. Really, really interesting for me to watch. But there's just too much talent on other sides of the ball, and the Raiders have real needs. Then you come in and you go to the specialists. There's nothing to discuss. AJ Cole, my opinion. I mean, he's one or two in the best punter at quite a category. Daniel Carlson, one or two in the best kicker category. They're really good. Jacob Bobenmoyer is a guy who comes in. I don't know if he's number one, but he's very good. I mean, they let Trent Sieg go, who was very good. They clearly paid more for Bobenmoyer, so they believe he's better. And so you hold him to that standard. Then you come in, though, and that's when you start getting into the interesting stuff. We know Davante Adams is making this team. Best wide receiver in the National Football League. All them cheeseheads are still miserable. They're curds, man. They're spitting up their curds because they lost Davante Adams. How's that working out for you? But they're upset. That doesn't matter. Davante, he's the best, and he's wearing the silver and black. Then you come to Trey Tucker. He's the second rookie that I have making the team with Aiden O'Connell. Trey Tucker is a guy, again, you got to be careful because it's in shorts. But man, he sure looked good. Everything you saw on tape from him from Cincinnati, but the guy did with the Cincinnati Bearcats, you saw him doing here. So again, very good for him. But Pat's got to come on. But I have him making the team. Then you turn around and you come into Jacoby Myers. He's clearly the number 2 guy, and he's going to be phenomenal. So there's your next guy. That's 3 wide receivers. The fourth one is DeAndre Carter. I think they take DeAndre Carter. Now, I want you to listen, because at the 5th spot this is where it's a little tricky. If they don't trade Hunter Renfrow, then I believe Philip Dorsett gets cut. If they trade Hunter, then Philip Dorsett stays. Either way, they carry 5 wide receivers. Hunter Renfrow is a great wide receiver. The Raiders don't want to give him away. They're not going to give him away. And again, I think they would love to get a 4. I think they would take a 5 for Hunter. But with his injury history and his contract, a lot of people are concerned. If he didn't have his injury history, he'd be gone. But I don't think that the Raiders would have asked for what I told you, that 4 or 5 range. I think it would have been much higher. But with the injury history, and that's just talking to other people. So if they don't trade Hunter, Hunter makes it. If they do, Philip Dorsett makes it. And then there you go. You got 5 wide receivers right there. Now, let's go back and let's look real quick, because last year they took 5 wide receivers. And again, I project them to do that again this year. Then you come into tight end. There's 3 of them. So what they had last year, it's what they're going to keep this year. I think Austin Hooper's your number 1. Michael Mayer, the rookie, there's your 3rd rookie out of the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. And then your 3rd one is A.J. Howard. Again, A.J. Howard has all of the God-given skills to be one of the best tight ends in the game of football, let alone just on the Raider team. But he can't stay healthy. If he stays healthy, now if he gets injured, you could see a Jesper Horsted get back in there and make this roster. But I think that's the battle right there. Then you come in, and I find this one super interesting to me, to the offensive line. Now, the Raiders last year took 8 offensive linemen, and I've got them projected to take 9. So let's just talk about this a little bit. Now, they could only keep 8, and if they don't trade Hunter, keep Phillip or keep another position. We'll see. But here are the 9 guys I have them keeping. Obviously, they're keeping Colton Miller. He's one of the best left tackles in all the game of football. The guy is just, you put him out there and say, we'll come back and see you in 10 years and retire your jersey. Then you got obviously the Raiders don't retire jerseys. That's a figure of point. A figure of speech. Don't send me 500 emails. You don't know the Raiders. Just stop. Next, Jermaine Illuminor. He's going to make this team. Jermaine's going to be good on this team. Andre James. Alex Barr. Again, there are your starters. And Dylan Parham, of course. There are your starters. So you got Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Jermaine Illuminor as your right tackle, Alex Bars as your right guard. So there's your, and Andre, there's your 5 guys. Then you keep Brandon Parker, Thayer Mumford, Greg Van Roten, and then I think McClendon Curtis makes his team. Do I think they would like to practice squad him? Yes. But I think there's a great concern if they practice squad him. Is somebody going to sign him to a 53, or do you put him at a spot where he can't be taken? And but I think that young man has an opportunity to be a player in this league. That's a football player now. That's a football player. And I like him. I like his style. He is mobile, hostile, and agile. And that guy plays offensive lineman the way it's meant to be. He attacks. He plays with a Bill Romanowski type level of toughness. And I like that kid. I'm a buyer on McClendon Curtis. And again, now McClendon Curtis is a UDFA. So I got him making it as the first of the UDFAs. Then you come in, and again, I like this one. Defensive end. Obviously, we know they're going to keep Tyree. They're keeping Chandler, and they're keeping Max Crosby. There's no issue there. We're not trying to pretend there isn't. But so then what do you do with that fourth one? That fourth DN spot, I think they're going to keep Malcolm Kuntz. I like Kuntz. Like him a lot. The kid has the ability to bend his body at angles that the only time I've ever seen that is in a gymnast in the Olympics. And he's a big kid, strong, fast, and he can just bend and get under guys. I've watched him just dip up under guys' pads. As an offensive lineman, the last thing you want is a defensive end who is like a Malcolm Kuntz with his ability to bend his body. And I think they keep him, and I think this is a kid that has a really good year. Quite frankly, I think he should have played more than Chandler Jones last year. And I think Chandler Jones is a great player. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I don't think any chance he has a year as bad as last year. But Malcolm Kuntz last year deserved more, and when he got it, he performed. I think he makes the roster. Then you come in to a little bit of a different spot. Excuse me. And it's linebacker. I think Drake Thomas makes the team. UDFA. That's 2 UDFA rookies now. Then you come in, and I think obviously Robert Spillane makes it. Amari Burney, a rookie, makes it. There's another rookie. Then you got Divine Diablo and Luke Masterson. Those are going to be your 5 linebackers right there. And again, I like that linebacker core. It's young, it's really young. I mean, you got Drake Thomas, who's a UDFA, Amari Burney, who's a rookie, Luke Masterson, who's a UDFA now. I'm just telling you. That's a young group. If you're building a franchise in today's NFL salary cap, you got to have those young guys under those long-term deals. It's just beneficial. You got to have it because you're going to have to pay some dudes. And this is one thing that the fans don't get about the National Football League is, everybody makes a lot of money. I'm not implying that they don't. But not everybody makes Devontae Adams, Max Crosby money. Not everybody makes Colton Miller money. But you're going to have those guys, and you got to decide how many of them you can have on your team. And but that's why the more young players you got, the more better off you are. Then you come in, and we'll start looking at corners. Now, I think, and let me go back and double check. I want to double check this because it's important to me to give you the very best information. In 22, the Raiders kept 6 corners. I think they're going to keep 6 again this year. Let's go over the 6. Jacorian Bennett, the rookie's going to make it. There's another rookie. Brandon Faison, the veteran, returns and he comes back. Amik Robertson. Now, I'm going to tell you here, I think Amik Robertson right now makes it, but he's in a battle for his job with Tyler Hall. Then you got David Long, Nate Hobbs, and Sam Webb. Okay, so what goes on there? Well, I think Duke Shelley makes it. I think Sam Webb makes it. So I think that David Long is in a battle with Sam Webb. And if Sam Webb, I think he right now is ahead of David Long. And if he holds on to that spot, I think right now that Sam Webb has the edge for that spot. So again, who are your corners? I've got Jacorian, Brandon Faison, Amik Robertson, Duke Shelley, Nate Hobbs, and Sam Webb. Now let's get on to the safeties, where I have them keeping 5 of those. Now, just for the interest of understanding where we're at, last year they took 5 safeties and 6 corners. Same thing that I expect this year. The 5 safeties I got are Trayvon Mulry, Chris Smith, the rookie, another rookie making this squad. Marcus Epps, the long, just the seasoned veteran, brutal player. Man, if you can't tell, I love Marcus Epps. Then Jaquan Johnson and Roderick Team are the guys I think that all make it. And then I'm gonna throw a surprise out here. Last year, the Raiders at the defensive lineman position took 10. This year, I think they take 10 as well. But let's talk about some names on this defensive tackle. I come in here saying Byron Young, Neil Farrell, Bilal Nichols, and Jerry Tillery all make it. I think Matthew Butler makes it, and Jade Nesta Silver makes it. And that takes you to the 53-man roster. Now, a lot of ifs and ands and buts in there. Clearly, I think that there's a couple positions that they would like to upgrade, either a trade or a free agent. So I that's why I don't think this is the roster, but you can only dance with the ones that brung you in. Right now, these are the ones that brung you. And they're the ones that are there. You only can look at what's in-house. And so it's going to be fascinating for me to see. I think there's some guys who have a potential to compete. I think there's some veterans that will look at a Sam Webb and think I can beat him. I think there's some veterans that are going to think maybe, you know what, I think I got a shot to maybe take out a McClendon Curtis. I think that'll be a long shot, but you could. There may be a guy that says, hey, I think I can be a Drake Thomas. There may be some other guys that are vulnerable. And I think there's a lot of them. I think this is a very fluid situation. But that's my latest 53-man roster, breaking it down. And again, I want to just go over the numbers and again, how this equals out, because I think it's very fascinating. It's 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, 9 offensive linemen, 10 defensive linemen, 5 linebackers, 5 safeties, 6 corners, and of course, 3 specialists. So I'd like to know what you think. Give me a shout out and just let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion. Is there a guy you think I'm overlooking? Maybe I'll keep a closer eye on him when training camp gets here. But that's the latest projected 53-man roster. And I just want to take a second and say to all of you, thank you for listening and watching. We're growing so fast, just tens of thousands of viewers. Thank you for watching and reading and listening. And I just hope you know we appreciate you. So from all of us here at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, thanks for being with us. Again, throw me your opinions. I want to hear them. Thanks, everybody.